Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am going to share with you 10 eyeshadow looks using a single eyeshadow palette, which is this one. This one is Rosy in the Air palette from Wet n Wild, and I will also give my mini review about this particular palette in this video. So if you're interested, then please keep on watching. But before moving on to the video, if you're new here, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, press the bell icon right next to it so that you can get a notification whenever I'll upload a new video. So without further ado, let's get started. So let's talk about the brand. Wet n Wild is a cruelty-free brand that's a drugstore brand, and they create some quality makeup products in an affordable budget. Like their products are quite affordable when compared to other similar products. If you compare them, you will see that Wet n Wild has much lesser price than others, but the quality is not compromised at all. Their quality is top notch. So it's a nice brand. You can get this palette from Myntra, Flipkart, Nykaa, as well as from Hawk Makeup and Amazon as well. So it's widely available on the online platforms. So the availability of this particular product is good. So this particular eyeshadow palette retails for 599 rupees for 8.5 grams of product, and it has 10 shades. As you can see, it has 10 shades, and this one is known to be a dupe for the Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills because of its color scheme. So this particular palette is great for beginners because the pigmentation of this particular palette is quite good. Like, it's not extremely pigmented so that you can't even blend it, but it's nicely pigmented so that you can build it up and work with your eyeshadow and create a good eyeshadow look. So if you are a beginner and you are looking for an affordable eyeshadow palette, you can totally go for this particular eyeshadow palette. It has some neutral shades and pop-up colors, so you can create a lot of look with this particular eyeshadow palette. You have this warm transition shade, you have this a neutral orange, you have this cool tone brown, you have a gold shade as well, and you have a pop-up color. You have a dark brown and like a plum shade and a berry shade to work with. If you want some color, then it will be great for you. This palette is nicely pigmented, but the shades are a bit powdery, but the blendability of this particular eyeshadow palette is top notch, so it won't be an issue to blend these eyeshadows. These are well pigmented and well blendable eyeshadows, so it's a great palette. I think this is one of the most affordable yet best eyeshadow palette out there in the market. I like all of the shades of this palette except this particular berry shade. This is a nice shade. I love the shade, but the formulation is very chalky. It's very dry. It doesn't get stuck to your eyelids properly. It's a difficult to work with shadow. Only this one is difficult to work with, and these shimmers are not supremely metallic or something like that. It kind of satiny, as you can see. Like, it's not super shimmery. There will be a very mild sheen onto your eyelids after applying this. This is not like highly pigmented or metallic something, so you have to build it up. So the mattes are quite pigmented except that berry shade. It's very difficult to work with. Other shades are quite pigmented and very easy to work, and these two shimmer shades are good. These are not bad at all, but these are not super intense metallic or foil kind of shadows. These are like more of a satiny shimmery kind of shadow. You will get like a sheen on your eyelid after using this. You won't get that foil effect. If you want that, this is not a palette for you, but the matte shades are really good, so I highly recommend this palette to you guys. So I have created 10 eye looks using this particular eyeshadow palette. I hope you will like all of them. So let's move on to the demo part. This is the inside view of the palette Rosy in the Air. As you can see, this is a 10 shade palette with 2 large pans of transition shades and rest 8 are small pans of shades. This is a very warm toned palette. It's great for beginners. You can create lots of look with it. This palette has 2 shades which are shimmer. This is kind of satiny. This is like a very warm tone palette. This is a warm tone brown. This is a plum shade with shimmer. This is a pastel violet shade. This is a golden shade. This is a beige shade. This is a cool tone brown. This is a orange. This is a rustic orange. This is berry, and this is a dark brown shade. It has neutrals, it has some pop-up colors, so if you wish you can create a normal everyday kind of look, and also you can create a party look with this palette. These shades are quite pigmented, but as you can see these are quite powdery, so you have to be very careful. You have to tap up the excess always, otherwise you may experience a lot of fallout. Now I'm gonna swatch all of the shades on my palm so that you can have a better idea about the shades and color payoff. First, this warm brown shade, which is a transition shade. I'm just building it up a bit. Second, this a plum satiny kind of shade. This is kind of a pastel violet shade, which is not pigmented at all. It won't show up on darker skin tones. Now this is a champagne gold shade. It's not a bright gold, it's just a champagne gold shade. Next, it's a whitish creamish beige shade, which is quite pigmented, to be honest. This is a cool tone brown. It may look ashy on deeper skin tones. And this is a nice warm orange shade, and this is a rustic orange shade, and it has good color payoff. This shade, this berry shade, is a bit chalky. As you can see, it's a bit chalky. It was difficult to swatch as well, so I don't like this shade at all. And this is the dark brown shade, which has nice pigmentation. So these are all the shades. Let's move on to the eyeshadow brushes I'm going to use to create the looks. So the first brush I'll be using to create this eyeshadow look is this fluffy blending brush from Wet n Wild. This is their crease brush. You can use any blending brush. It will blend out the transition shade, and also it will blend out the harsh edges of the eyeshadows to create kind of a seamless look. So it's a must have to create any eyeshadow look. The surface of this brush is quite soft and it blends out the shadows beautifully, so this particular crease brush is highly recommended. So the next brush I'll be using is this dome shaped blending brush from Pro Arte. This is Pro Arte PE23. This is a blending brush with nice tapper at the tip, so it will deposit the color well onto your crease. It will pack the color, and also it will blend it out so that it will deposit, and at the same time it will blend out the shadow. So it's a nice brush to have. So the next brush is a pencil brush. This is also from Pro Arte. This is Pro Arte PE29 brush, which is kind of a smudger or a pencil brush. You can use it in a multiple ways. It's kind of stiff but not super stiff, so it will blend out the shadows as well, and it will smoke out the shadows and eyeliners, and also you can smoke out your kajals with it. So it's a very handy brush to have. So next brush you need is a angular brush. I prefer a smaller angular brush over a larger angular brush. These brushes are really handy. This will help you to fill out your eyebrows, to draw a wing liner properly, and also to smoke out the lower lash line. Also, application of eyeliner and eyeshadows close to your lash line becomes easier with this kind of angular brush, so it's highly recommended. So the next brush is a shader brush. This is a flat shader brush from Wet n Wild. This is a smaller one, and with this brush you can pack the color onto your eyelids, and also you can smoke out your lower lash line if you wish. This is quite stiff, so it will pack the shades quite well onto your eyelids. And also you need this kind of detailer brush, which will help you to apply eyeshadows onto your inner corners to highlight your eyebrows, and also to clean out the edges of your eyeshadow, and also shape out or map out your eyebrows as well. So this comes really handy. So I'll be using a concealer to prime my eyelids today. So I'm applying concealer onto my eyelids. Priming your eyelids is absolutely necessary because it will cancel out all of the discoloration, pigmentation and veins from your eyelid, so you can have a clear canvas to work with so that your eyeshadows pop more. It's very important to prime your eyelids. You can use your eyeshadow primer as well. For me, concealer works, so I don't use an eyeshadow primer separately. So I use concealer and just set it with a loose powder. It works for me. And especially if you're using a concealer, it tends to crease, so make sure you set it well with a loose powder, otherwise it may crease and your eyeshadows may crease. If you don't prime your eyelids properly, then eyeshadows won't pop up that much. So yeah, did my eyebrows off camera. Let's move on to the eyeshadow looks. So for the first look, I'm gonna be taking this warm brown shade and I'm gonna place it all over my eyelid as a wash of color. I'm using a pencil brush. Build this color slowly and always tap off the excess, otherwise you may experience fallout under your eyes. So I'm applying the shades and also blending it. Next I'm gonna take the same shade flat shader brush and I'm just gonna pack the shade onto my eyelid to intensify it and to kind of make it look seamless. Then with a tapered blending brush, I'm just gonna blend the edges to create kind of a transition and also to blend out all of the harsh edges that may have formed during the application process. So yeah. I'm blending these shadows in circular as well as windshield wiper motion to make sure there is no harsh edges and it looks seamless. It's a very simple look to create, but you have to blend it well. Next I'm gonna pick up this dark brown shade from the same palette and with the help of an angular brush, I'm gonna draw a thin liner on my upper lash line. I'm creating this liner as close as possible to my lash line and spreading out in a wing. It's a very smoked out wing. I want a very smoked out brown liner. I'm putting the same shade on my lower lash line as close as possible to my lower lash line, and I'm just joining it with that wing to kind of create a small V. Next up I'm gonna take this warm brown shade and I'm gonna smoke it out on my lower lash line. I applied some mascara and this is the final look. This is a very simple look, everyday sort of look it is. So yeah. The second look, I'm gonna take this warm brown transition shade and I'm just gonna take it a tapered blending brush and I'm placing it onto my crease to kind of give some warmth to my crease, and also I'm blending it out to create kind of a transition. Next I'm taking this warm orange shade from the palette and I just applied that onto my eyelid space area with a flat shader brush. I'm gradually building up the colors because it's a bit powdery, so I don't want any fallout under my eyes. I'm just packing the color onto my eyelid. Next I took that blending brush again and I'm just blending to make sure there is no harsh edges and everything is seamless. Then I will take this rustic orange shade from this palette and I'm gonna place it on my outer V and slightly blend it to give some warmth and give some definition to my eyes. Then I'm using the same blending brush to blend everything. Next I'm gonna mix these two orange shades and I'm just gonna apply onto my lower lash line. Then I picked up this warm brown transition shade and I'm just gonna smoke it out on my lower lash line. Next I'm picking up this warm gold shade from the palette and I'm just gonna highlight my inner corners. On my tear duct area I'm just gonna highlight it, and I will also apply this shade onto my brow bone area to highlight that area as well. Next I'm taking a brown kohl pencil and I'm just gonna apply it onto my waterline. To finish the look I'm using Essence Lash Princess mascara. This is a nice mascara. I'm gonna add a nice coat of this mascara onto my top and bottom lashes to give some length, volume and color to my eyelashes, because I'm not gonna be applying any falsies today. So this is the finished look. For my third look today, I'm gonna take this warm brown transition shade from the same palette and I'm gonna apply this onto my crease and slightly above the crease as a transition shade. Next I will take this berry shade from the palette and I'm just gonna pack this color onto my eyelids with the help of a shader brush, flat shader brush, and I'm just gradually building the color. This is quite chalky shade. It's a very difficult shade to work with from this palette. The formulation is not something which is very sticky to your eyelid, so it kind of comes off. Whenever I was trying to apply it and blend it, it was coming off. So yeah, it was a bit difficult shade to work with. I'm blending the edges. As you can see, whenever I'm blending the shade, it kind of comes off. Next I took a pencil brush and I just applied another coat of the same berry shade. Next I took the same blending brush and I just blended the edges, almost barely touching my skin. Next I'll be taking this orange shade and transition shade. I'm gonna mix these two and I'm just applying this onto my lower lash line. Next I took that berry shade in an angled brush and I just applied it to my lower lash line, as close as possible to my lash line. I took that warm gold shade from the palette and I'm just gonna highlight my inner corners. And I'm applying this beige shade onto my brow bone to highlight it. Then I will draw a winged eyeliner to finish the look. I am taking a brown kohl pencil to apply onto my waterline. Next I will apply some mascaras on my top and bottom lashes to finish the look. I'm adding 2 coats of this mascara to my eyelashes because I'm not going to use any falsies today. So this is the finished look. For my next eyeshadow look, I'm gonna take this beige shade from the palette and I'm just gonna apply it with the help of a fluffy blending brush all over my lid to set my concealer. Next I will take this warm orange shade and I'm just gonna place this onto my outer corner. I'm just packing the color onto my outer corners and also onto my inner corners. And just blending it in a circular motion. Next I will take this rustic orange shade from the same palette and I will just apply it onto my outer V and onto my inner V with the help of a pencil brush to add some depth and definition to my eyes. Next I'll be taking this fluffy blending brush and I'm just gonna join these 2 shades onto my crease with no extra shadows. I'm just building up the intensity of the shades. Then I'm taking a eyeshadow blending brush and I'm just gonna blend everything so that there is no harsh edges and everything is well blended. Next I will take this warm gold shade onto my fingertip and I'll just apply it onto the center of my lid. This shade works best with fingers, so I'm using my fingertip to apply this one and I'm just blending this. I'm just blending the edges of this gold where this orange shade and the gold shade meets. These two orange shades from the palette, and I'm just gonna apply onto my outer third and inner third of the lower lash line, leaving the mid space empty. I'll apply the gold shade onto the mid part with the help of a pencil brush to create a spotlight effect, and I'll just blend the edges where the orange and gold meets. Next I'll pick up this gold shade from the palette and I will apply the same shade onto my inner corners to highlight the tear duct area as well. I will draw a small wing liner to finish the look, and I will also use Essence Long Lasting Kohl pencil to apply onto my waterline. And I will also tightline my eyes with the same kohl pencil. Then I applied some mascara to finish the look. This is the complete look. This is a spotlight eye makeup look. For my next eyeshadow look, I'm gonna take this cool toned brown shade from the palette and I will apply this as a transition shade and onto my crease. This shade may look a bit ashy on deeper skin tones, as it is a cool toned brown. Next I'll take this dark brown shade from the palette and with help of a pencil brush I'm just gonna apply this. Next I will take this pastel violet shade and I'll be applying this onto my eyelid space. This was not so pigmented. I have to build it up quite a bit to get this much of intensity, and I'm just gonna blending these two shades. I will take this dark brown shade from the palette and I'm gonna apply this onto my lower lash line and just blending it. Next I will pick up this creamy beige shade from the palette and I'll apply this onto my inner corners and onto my brow bone to highlight it. Next I will take a brown kohl pencil and I'm just gonna draw a liner, very thin liner, close to my upper lash line, as close as possible to my lash line. So this is the completed look. For the eyeshadow look, I'm gonna take this pastel violet shade and with the help of a fluffy blending brush, I'm gonna place this onto my socket area. This color is not so pigmented, so you have to build it up. I was building up the color slowly and as well as I was blending it. Then I took that plum shade from the palette and I'm just gonna pack the shade onto my outer corner of my eyes. Then I started to blend the shadows. I was barely touching my skin. I was lightly blending it out. Whatever was remaining on my eye brushes, I took that onto my crease line slightly below that initial pastel lavender shade. Then I took that gold shade to apply onto my inner third of eyelid. Then I picked up the same berry shade and just blended these two shades together. Next I took that same gold shade from the palette to highlight my brow bone and inner corners. I'm taking that berry shade again and placing onto the outer third of my lower lash line. And onto my inner third of lower lash line, I'm gonna place the gold shade again. Next I'll use a black hole pencil to draw a thin liner on my upper lash line. You can use your liquid liner as well, but I'm using a kohl pencil here. Then to smoke out the liner, I'm using an angled brush. Next I will apply the same kohl pencil onto my waterline. Next I will apply some mascara to finish the look. So this is the complete look. This is a very simple look. For my next eyeshadow look, I'm gonna take this warm brown transition shade and I'm just gonna place this onto my crease. I'm putting more colors onto my outer V and then gradually taking the shade inside. Next I'll take this orange shade from the palette and I'm applying this with the same blending brush slightly below the first shade to create kind of a ombre. Next I'll use that plum shimmery shade with the help of a flat shading brush to pack onto my eyelids. I'm using it as my eyelid shade. I'm gradually building the intensity of the color. Then I'm taking this shimmery plum shade on an angled brush and applying it onto my lower lash line. And then I will take this orange shade and I will blend the edges. Then I will take this creamy beige shade from the palette to highlight my inner corners as well as my brow bone. Then I will apply falsies, and this is the completed look. For next look, I am taking this dark brown shade from the same palette and I am placing it with the help of a pencil brush, and I will pack the color onto my crease. And I will also extend it in a V shape, and I will apply this shade onto my lower lash line as well and connect both of them in a V shape. Then with the help of a blending brush, I am blending the edges. Next up, I am taking this cool tone brown shade from the palette with the help of a blending brush and blending the shades together, and also blend the edges on my upper lid and lower lid as well. You can see it's a nice V created. Next, I will take this shimmery plum shade from the palette and I will place it onto my eyelid area with the help of a flat shader brush. I am gradually building the intensity as the shimmers of this palette is not super pigmented, so you have to build it up. Then I am smoking out the same shade onto my lower lash line. Next, I will take this golden shade to highlight my inner corners and my brow bones. Next, I will apply some mascara onto my top and bottom lashes, and the look is done. For my next look, I am going to use this dark brown shade to pack onto my crease, and I will blend the edges with the help of a blending brush. I want more color packed onto my crease, and then I slightly blended it. Next, I am taking that warm brown shade from the palette to blend the edges. Then I am packing the same dark brown shade onto my outer V area and gradually building the intensity. Then I will blend the edges again. Taking that rusty orange shade from the palette and I'm placing that shade right next to that dark brown shade onto my eyelid and slightly blending it with the brown shade. Next, I'm taking that berry shade from the palette with the help of a pencil brush and packing it onto my lid area, not completely but slightly right next to the orange, and blending the shades. I'll use a concealer to create a cut crease. I am mapping out my crease with the help of wand itself. Then I took that flat shader brush to spread the concealer and to give the proper shape of a cut crease. Then I blended that concealer on my lid area. Next I am using that creamy beige shade from the palette to pack onto the concealer. Then I am taking the berry shade from the palette and blending at the junction of the concealer and the beige shade along with the shades on the outer V. Next I am taking a blending brush to blend the eyeshadows. Well, this is a fluffy blending brush, so it will blend out all of the harsh edges. Then I will take that orange shade for the outer part of my lower lash line and a berry shade for the mid part. And I'm gonna pick up this beige shade for my inner corner, tear duct area, and also my brow bone. And I will apply some kohl to my lower lash line and also tight line my eyes with it. Then applying a nice coat of mascara and the look will be done. So this is the finished look. For the last look, I am taking this beige shade to set my eyelids. I am picking up this warm brown transition shade to put it onto my crease and slightly above my crease as a transition shade. Then I'll pick this orange warm shade and place it right under the first shade, slightly below the crease to create ombre. Then I'm taking this rustic orange shade on a pencil brush and applying it right under the orange to create ombre. I'm taking a clean blending brush and mixing and blending these three shades together. Then I'll pick this dark brown shade from the palette and I'm placing it onto my eyelid space area. This is a kind of brown smoky eyes, warm brown smoky eyes. So I'm packing the color onto my eyelids. I want more intensity of this brown near to my lash line. Again I'm building the intensity of the orange and blending the edges so that there is no harsh edges. Then I'll pick up more this brown eyeshadow and pack this onto my eyelid, and I'll also apply this dark brown shade onto my lower lash line. I will pick up this rustic orange and orange shade together. I'm gonna smoke out the brown. Then I'm using that warm transition brown shade to smoke out the orange and blend it nicely. Then with the help of detailing brush, I'm taking this golden shade to highlight my inner corners and also my brow bone. Next I will apply some brown kajal onto my waterline. I'll be applying nice coat of mascara onto my top and bottom lashes, and the look will be done. So this is the completed look. For my next look, I will be taking this dark brown shade from the palette and I am gonna pack it onto my crease with a flat shader brush. And I will extend it in a shape of a wing. Next I'm picking up this berry shade from the palette and I'm gonna blend the upper edge of the brown shadow with the help of a pencil brush. I will use this shade to blend this out. This is a cut crease look, so crease should be intensified. That is what I'm doing now. Then with the help of a concealer, I am cutting my crease, mapping it out. I will apply it precisely later. I am just roughly applying it. Then I will take a flat shader brush and I will precisely apply and blend the concealer. I am just mapping out the shape of my crease. Then I'll pick up the gold shade from the palette and I'm just gonna place this onto the concealer. the help of a flat shader brush, I am packing the shade onto my concealer applied area on my eyelid, and then I am taking a littler more precise shader brush and applying the same shade onto my concealer, just packing the shade onto my eyelid. I'm gonna pick up this dark brown shade from the palette and I'm gonna draw a eyeliner near to my lash line, very thin liner. Then I'll apply a nice coat of mascara onto my top and bottom lashes. I'll be using falsies later on. I applied falsies off camera and this is the final look. For my last look, I'm gonna pick up this berry shade from the palette and I'm gonna place it onto my crease area, just packing it with a blending brush. Very slowly I'm packing the shade because it is very powdery and chalky. So I'm just stamping the shade onto my crease. Then I'm blending the shade with the help of a blending brush to blend the edges and to make it seamless. And I will apply the same shade onto my lower lash line and connect it with the previous shade. Then again I am blending the shades because it was looking a bit patchy. And I took a flat shader brush to apply this berry shade onto my lower lash line. Next I'll pick up this orange shade from the palette and I'm gonna pack it onto my eyelid space. Then I'm blending the edges with a berry shade to kind of mix these two shades at its junction. I'm picking up this gold shade with a detailed shader brush to apply onto my previously applied orange to make a custom shade from this palette. I am using it as a lip topper and blending gently with this orange shade and also with the berry shade applied on the outer corner. I will intensify the gold at the center of my lid. Then with the same shade of gold, I'm just highlighting my inner corners and also applying it onto my inner 1/3 of lower eyelid. So applying the same shade onto my brow bone area. Up this orange shade from the palette and I am just smoking out the previously applied berry on my lower lash line. Next I will apply some kohl pencil onto my waterline and also I will tightline my eyes with the same kohl. Then I'll add a nice coat of mascara to finish up the look. I'm not using falsies for this look. I picked up little bit of orange shade and kind of applied on the previously applied gold to make it more orangish gold. So this is the completed look. I really like how it turned out. With that, I'm gonna finish today's video. Hope you guys find it helpful. If it was helpful for you, make sure you are subscribed to my channel, press the bell icon right next to it so that you can get a notification whenever I'll upload a future video. And also like, share, comment this video and share with your friends as much as you can. It will mean absolute world to me. And let me know in the comment section which look do you like and which one you didn't like at all. And if you have created some looks with this particular eyeshadow palette, let me know in the comment section as well. I will love to know your thoughts about this particular palette. See you guys soon in my next video. Till then, bye.